today on the spleen and the stomach channel. So from last week we were working on the long and the large intestine, and the large intestine finished on here on the side of the nose. Now the stomach starts just underneath the eye, so that's the stomach channel. It runs just on the sides of the mouth, runs across up to the top of the head, and then as you can see it runs here on the throat, comes here into the midline and goes down, down, down into sort of the sides of the belly button until it comes down in here, runs across the thigh, and then goes down along the side of the thigh until it reaches the second toe. And then the spleen channel starts from the first toe. It runs on the inside of the thigh, and then it comes up, running the front of the thigh until it comes up in here, and it runs across into the side of the body, up here, and then onto the sides, okay? So as you can understand, today we're gonna have to work a lot into the front of the body, the front of the abdominals and the front of the thighs, okay? So have quite a few pillows. You probably need at least 2 pillows and a block. That's all we need today. Grab yourself at least 2 pillows because we're gonna do quite a lot of poses with the knee down, where we wanna do a little bit of padding, and also where we're gonna probably have to sit on the pillows, okay? So if you come up standing and have your knees nice and relaxed, your feet are hip width apart, and first we're just gonna release the joints slightly, so you're looking down towards the floor, looking up towards the ceiling, looking straight ahead, look towards your right and your left, look straight ahead, right knee towards the right ear towards the right shoulder, left ear towards the left shoulder, and then start circling the shoulders, so you're bringing the shoulders up to the ears and back, up to the ears and back, and then the opposite direction, so from the back you're bringing it up and folding them forward, and then keeping one arm to the sides, you started circling the arms one direction and then the other, coming forward, and we're going to do the other side. So you're first bringing it forward and back, and then the opposite direction, from back you're bringing them forward, and then place your hands on the hips, start making circles with the hips, first in one direction, making smaller circles and then making them bigger and bigger, and then keep your knees nice and soft, and then you sort of change the circle into the opposite direction, and then bend forward slightly, start warming up the knees by placing the hands on the inside of the knees, rubbing the inside, the front, the sides and the back of the knees, and then come back up, stretch the toes of the right foot, and then circle the ankle, so you're sort of giving yourself a little bit of a stretch into the ankles and the other direction. And we're going to do the other side, so you're stretching the toes of the left foot and start creating circles with the ankle one direction and then the other, okay? And then we're going to stay in, what we're going to do is we're going to do the earth Qigong, so that connects with the stomach and the spleen, okay? So you've got soft knees, your feet are hip width apart. You're creating a ball where the right hand is above the belly button and the left hand is underneath the belly button. And you're sort of imagining that you're holding a ball just in front of your stomach. And then on the next inhale, you're circling the ball and you're pushing the right hand down with the palms down and the left hand up towards the ceiling, almost as if you want to, with the palm up towards the ceiling, and you're turning towards your left. So you're turning towards the arm that is up towards the ceiling, looking up towards the ceiling. And then coming back on the next exhale, come back into the ball. So now the left hand is at the top. Now you're circling the ball on the inhale, push that left hand down with the palm down, push the right hand up towards the ceiling. Turning towards the right slightly, looking up towards the ceiling. And then a couple of breaths here. You're coming back on the exhale with the right hand on top. And we're going to do a couple of these in a sort of more of a flow. So turn the ball, push the right hand down, left hand up, looking up towards the ceiling, turning towards the left. Coming back into a ball in the center, left hand up, turn the ball, push the left hand down, right hand up, turning towards the right slightly. And then start coming into the flow, so you're coming back into the ball, turn the ball, push the hands away from the body, coming back into the ball, turning the ball, pushing the left hand down, right hand up. And you can close your eyes for a second. We're going to do a couple of these. And then once you want to, you can also do a little bit more flow. So you're sort of meeting the hands in the middle and you're sort of pushing one hand up and pushing the other hand down. Okay, and now come back to the center. Come to the top of the mat. Now grab hold of one pillow so that you can grab hold of it as you're kneeling down with one knee, okay? So make sure you can grab hold of the pillow so you have it on your sides. Come to the top of the mat, feet hip width apart. On the next inhale, place your hands on the hips. You're pushing your right foot out into a lunge. So the right foot is only the toes are on the mat, the heel is off the floor, both hips are facing forward, the front leg is slightly bent. And then on the next inhale, lift your hands up towards the ceiling, push that heel away from you as you're kneeling down towards the floor. Place your hands on the hips, grab hold of the pillow, place it underneath your right knee, okay? You can also put it across the mat so you can use it later on for that. Now, on the next inhale, start bringing your hands up towards the ceiling, roll the shoulders away from you, and now you want to engage the front of the abdominals. As you're looking up towards the ceiling, you want to feel that stretch on the front of the thigh as you're pushing your hips forward, looking up towards the ceiling, stretching also the front of your abdominals. Start working with the breath. So as you're here, inhale into the count of 4, exhale into the count of 4, and then you're going to push it to inhale into the count of 5 and exhale into the count of 5. On the next inhale, bring your hands onto your hips, lean forward, and you're placing your right hand down onto the floor. Now, relax your toes down onto the mat, so the top of the foot is on the mat. And then on the next inhale, suck the belly in, turn the torso towards your left. Now, you can bring, the easier version is to bring your left hand behind you and slightly bend the right knee. So you're trying to bring the right foot towards the glutes. If you can, or if you want, you can grab hold with your left hand of the right ankle. You can do that by leaning forward, bending the right leg, grabbing hold of the ankle, and then coming into the position. Otherwise, if you cannot do that, just bend the leg, left hand behind you, and turning the torso towards your left. We're gonna stay here for a couple of minutes, so at least 1 minute. And focus on the breath. Breathing through the nose only. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. Feel the stretch on the front of the thigh. And slightly to the sides of the body. 2 more breaths here. Inhaling to the count of 5. If you get tired and the legs that gets tired, then you can relax the foot down onto the floor. Inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. Come back into a seated position. Give your wrists a little bit of a break by circling the wrists. And then what we're going to do is called the dragon pose. So either the easier version is placing your hands in front of the thigh, and then you're leaning forward, so you're really feeling the stretch on the front of the thigh. Otherwise, you're placing both hands either side of the left foot, pushing the chest forward. You're really feeling the stretch on the front of the thigh. And sucking the belly in, you're looking just beyond the mat. Otherwise, if you're here, you're really sort of leaning onto the left leg. Inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, you're straightening the front leg, tucking your toes under and standing up, stepping to the front of the mat. Make sure that you're stepping over the pillow. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. And we're gonna do it on the other side. So start with your feet hip width apart. Step with your left foot into a lunge, making sure you're coming onto the tiptoes of the left foot. Pushing that left heel away, so you're keeping that left leg as straight as you can. And bending the right leg. On the next inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Suck the belly in, looking up, looking either straight ahead or slightly up. Feeling a little bit of a stretch on the front of the abdominals, or also on the front of the left leg this time. The more you're keeping that left leg straight, the more you're feeling the stretch. 2 more breaths here. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, start bringing that left knee down onto the floor, making sure you're placing a pillow underneath the knee. You're still on the tiptoes of the left foot. And then now we're pushing the hips forward and bringing, on the next inhale, the hands up towards the ceiling. And if you can, suck the belly in and look straight ahead or towards the ceiling, feeling the stretch on the front of the thighs. If you want to relax the top of the feet on the mat, it helps a little bit the knee. And then really working on the front of your abdominals, really trying to help stretching the stomach and the spleen channel. And then on the next inhale, bring your hands to the hips. Place your left hand onto the floor. Lean forward. So you're slightly changing the position of the left knee onto the floor. And then you're turning the torso towards your right. Bending the left knee, so you're trying to bring the left foot up towards the buttock and right arm just behind you. If you want to grab hold of the left foot, lean forward, bend the leg, grab hold of the ankle, and then turn towards your right. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. So the pressure on the knee, it should be on the front, on the top of the left knee, not on the knee joint, okay? Suck the belly in and really feel the stretch onto the front of the abdominals and on the front of the left leg. At the same time, the right leg is strengthening the sort of quads. So it works in a different way onto the stomach and spleen channel. Last breath here. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5, and then release the leg down onto the floor. And now you're placing the hands on top of the thigh, and you're pushing that knee forward, so you're leaning onto the front, stretching the front of that left thigh. We're not going to stay here long because now the right leg and the left knee are a little bit tired. So on the next inhale, tuck your toes under. You can help yourself with your hands on the mat. Straighten the left leg. Come up into a standing position, hands on the hips, and then you can step to the front of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake on the legs. Place the pillow somewhere where you can grab hold of it later on. Now what we're going to do the dancer pose, or versions of it, okay? So what we want to do is basically stretch the front of the thighs in a different way as we're standing, okay? So you're balancing yourself onto your right leg. You can also support yourself on the wall or on a chair. And then you're bending the left knee, and with your left hand you're placing the left arm behind you with the thumb facing up towards the ceiling, and you're trying to grab hold of the inside of the foot so that the thumb is on the sole of the foot, the rest of the fingers are on the top of the foot. Keep your knees together, try to bring that foot as close as you can towards the buttock. And then on the next inhale, bring your right hand up towards the ceiling. If you're supporting yourself, just stay there. If you want to go for the full pose, on the next inhale, start leaning forward, kicking that left leg out. So you're pressing down on the right arm. Inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, coming back, place your hand on the hip, release the left foot and bring the left foot down onto the floor. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. We're going to do it on the opposite side. Position all your weight onto the left leg, hands on the hips. Bring your right arm out with the thumb facing up towards the ceiling, bending the right leg, grabbing hold of the foot behind you so that the thumb is on the sole, so from the inside of the foot. And then squeeze that foot in, knees together. And if you want, the first version is bringing your arm up towards the ceiling. Otherwise, you're bringing your arm forward and you're kicking that leg out. Inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, come back into the center, bring the knees together and release the foot, giving yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay? So the next couple of ones are on the floor. We're first lying on the floor. We're going to do 2 of these exercises on the floor, okay? You don't need pillows for this. You're going to need it though for the next 2 when we're sitting down. So first of all, we're coming on our 4. Placing your hands directly underneath the shoulders and your knees directly underneath the hips. And then on the next inhale, you're turning yourself onto the right side. So you're bending the right knee, grabbing hold of the right foot. And then see if you can kick that right leg out. Oops, sorry. So first actually bring your hands down onto the floor. Bring that right leg up so that the thigh is parallel to the floor. And then if you want, it's easier actually for the balance to grab hold of the foot with your right hand, with your left hand. If you want, grab hold of the foot, kick that leg out. Otherwise, stay here and keep that leg parallel to the floor, and you can point the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling, looking forward. Sucking the belly in, pushing that right leg so that the thigh is parallel to the floor. And then on the next inhale, replace the foot down onto the floor, and you're kicking the left leg out so that the thigh is parallel to the floor, and you're bending the feet so that the toes are pointing down towards the floor and the sole of the foot is pointing up towards the ceiling. Kicking that leg out, inhaling to the count of 5, and exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, release the leg, coming into child pose for a second, releasing your head onto the floor, sitting on your heels, stretching the lower back. Still nice and long breaths. You're coming onto your front, so you're coming into your hands and knees. Lie yourself onto the floor, and you're placing your left forearm across the mat in front of you. So in theory, you can also rest your forehead onto the left forearm, okay? So the left forearm is across the mat, pretty much so that you can rest your forehead onto it. And then what you're going to do, you're going to bend the right knee, and you grab hold with your right hand of the right foot, or whatever you can, even the toes. And you're staying here trying to bring the foot towards the buttocks. Now, if you want to have a bigger stretch, you're sort of coming up, pushing against that left forearm so that you're looking just beyond the big mat. Otherwise, you can straighten the arm and come up so that the chest is off the floor. Just try to keep on hugging that right foot towards the buttocks. It really doesn't matter where you are. If you're pushing yourself up, so if you're resting your forehead onto the floor, you're stretching the front of the thighs. As you're pushing up, you're also engaging the stomach and the spleen channel further up the line into the abdominal area, as long as you're sucking the belly in, looking slightly forward. Inhaling to the count of 5, and exhaling to the count of 5. One more breath here. Inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. And then very gently release the right leg. Swap the arms over. So this time is the right forearm that is across the mat with the palm facing down onto the floor. You can rest your forehead onto the forearm. So position your forearm so that you can rest your forehead there. And then reach your left arm back. Bend the left leg so that you can grab hold of the left ankle. And you can just stay here, feeling the stretch onto the front of the left thigh. Otherwise, if you want to go further, push yourself up with the chest off the floor, looking just beyond the mat, feeling the sort of stretch onto the front of your abdominals as well. And if you want to go forward, place the palm onto the floor and straighten that arm. Inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. Close your eyes for a second. Really work onto this abdominal and really feeling the stretch onto the front of the thigh, focusing on this area. And as you're picturing those two channels, just work on sending energy and the breath into that area. So you're really starting to facilitate the flow of energy along those channels. One long last breath here, inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. And then release first the forehead, then the arm, then the leg. And we're gonna come into the Sphinx pose. So this time you're bringing the elbows underneath the shoulders. Now the further the elbows are from you, the easier the stretch. The closer the elbows are to the body and to the shoulders, the deeper the stretch, okay? I find that sometimes just keeping them in a sort of neutral position just in front of the shoulders is enough of a stretch. You're pushing yourself up, so you're now really feeling the stretch. So you want to focus now onto the front of the abdominals, okay? So this is quite a good stretch for your lower back, but for this purpose we're focusing on the front, okay? So the palms are on the floor, you're quite comfortable here, and if you want, if you bring in the elbows just underneath the shoulders, it becomes a little bit more neutral for the shoulders. So start by bringing the elbows just underneath the shoulders, palms down, looking forward, pushing the chest forward, roll the shoulders away from you. So you're not here, you're pushing yourself up. And now if you want to have even a deeper stretch, you're really engaging the front of the abdominals. Be careful if you've got any problem with your lower back. As you're engaging the front of your abdominals, it creates a bit more of a stretch on your lower back. So find yourself in a comfortable position and start engaging with the breath, breathing nice and long breaths and becoming aware of your front of your abdominals, where you're sort of trying to create a stretch into the whole of the front of the torso. Inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, start releasing yourself by lying down onto the mat, hands directly underneath the shoulders, tuck your toes under, come into your hands and knees, and we're coming into child pose. Release the top of the foot down onto the floor, knees together, sitting on your heels, release the forehead onto the floor, and really trying to sit down onto the heels, so you're really stretching and releasing your lower back. We're gonna stay here for a few breaths. So start intensifying the breaths, inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. Arms are forward. Focus not only on that channel, but on the organs that they connect. So the whole of the abdominal area and your digestive system. Bringing energy into your stomach and into your spleen, but also onto that channels that I've showed you at the beginning of the class. And now start walking your hands back towards the center. And once you're sitting on your heels, shift the bum either side of the feet, so that you're starting to have your feet, your legs forward. Okay, so we're coming into what is called the hero pose, okay? So that involves both legs underneath you with the feet out. Now have a block. First of all, come into your hands and knees. Come up with your knees together, grab the block and you're placing it in between your feet, okay? You can also grab a pillow, you're bending it, you're doubling it up, and you're placing it in between the feet, and then grab another pillow if you want, and you're placing it in between the thighs and the lower legs, and you're sitting back. So the feet are on the side of your bum. You're not sitting on your feet, but the knees are together, okay? So if you want to go into the full pose without too much support, remember we're gonna stay in this position for a few minutes, so try to make it comfortable for yourself. You're bringing your toes, your heels either side of the bum with the knees together. Otherwise, you're having the doubling up of the pillows, you're sitting on that. And if you want a little bit more support for the knees, you're placing that pillow as well in between the knees, so you're sitting in here, okay? Once you're in a comfortable position, you start leaning back. Now remember, we're gonna be here for a couple of minutes, okay? So you want to lean back, chin to chest, feeling the stretch onto the front of the thighs. If you start to look up towards the ceiling, you will also notice that the front of your torso gets engaged, okay? So you can sort of lean back and stay here. So this is pretty much also the stretch that is recommended in Chinese medicine for the spleen and the stomach, okay? If you want to go further, you can also lean on your forearms, or you can lie down all the way down onto the floor. I find that this is enough for me. Make sure the chin is to the chest, the knees are together. Feeling that intense stretch is quite a big stretch, so make sure that also you're not feeling that much pain onto your lower back. If you're feeling pain into the lower back, you're coming up and you're leaning less backward, okay? You're just feeling that stretch onto your thighs. And now really picture the front of the thighs. So you're basically picturing these two lines, one's on the outside of the knee, one's on the inside of the knee, that they're feeling nice and stretched, and they're getting activated by this position. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. We're gonna stay 4 more breaths here, so we're gonna start in total being there for about 3 minutes, where we're basically starting to affect the fascia by 3 minutes. Okay, so now inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. Also pay attention on the torso now, so you can also sort of engage your abdominals on the next 2 breaths. Inhaling to the count of 5 by pushing the chest forward, exhaling to the count of 5. Sucking the belly in, last breath, inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. You're leaning forward, get rid of all that sort of material and pillows that you had, and come sitting onto the mat with the legs in front of you. So you're bending the knees, the feet are on the floor. You're bringing the right foot, you're grabbing hold of the right foot, and you're bringing the right heel next to your left, to the right bum cheek, and you're bringing the left heel in front of you. So it's right in front of you. Now, if you have pain on the right knee, place a pillow underneath the right leg. Again, hands behind you. You're just wanting to feel the stretch. This time the stretch is more onto the inside of the right leg, okay? So this is more emphasized for the spleen channel. And you can sort of walk your hands away from you. The more you're leaning back, the more you're feeling the stretch onto the right leg. Nice and long breaths. Inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. This is a more intense stretch, so we're not going to stay here for much longer. 2 more breaths. Inhale into the count of 5. Push your chest forward, suck the belly in, exhale into the count of 5. Last breath here. Inhale into the count of 5 and exhale into the count of 5. Walk your hands forward, lean onto your left leg, release the pillow, bring the right leg forward and then bring the left leg forward. We're going to do it on the opposite side. So you're bringing the left heel as close as you can towards the left bum cheek and the right heel as close as you can towards the groin. If you want extra support, place a pillow underneath alongside the whole of your lower left leg. Hands behind your bum. Now push the chest forward so you're really stretching the front of the abdominals as well. Suck the belly in. Feeling that stretch onto the inside of the left thigh, but also feeling a slight engagement into your abdominals and the whole of the front of the chest. You can close your eyes, focusing onto the breath and focusing onto these 2 areas of the left thigh and on the front of your chest. Nice and long breaths. 2 more breaths here. Inhale into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. And last breath here. Inhale into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. And then walk your hands back forward. Lean forward with your body. Lean towards your right leg. Release the pillow. Release the left leg and release the right leg. Come into the middle of the mat. Place your hands in front of your knees and roll yourself onto your back. Hug the knees to the chest for a breath or 2. We're going to come into the last pose, which is called the banana pose, okay? So bring your feet onto the mat. Bring your hips to the edge of the right side of the mat. Okay? And then you're straightening the legs. You're bringing the feet onto the edge of the left side of the mat with the right foot on top of the left. And then you're bringing your shoulders as much as you can onto the left side, bringing your arms over the head. So you're basically having your right hips onto the right side and then the feet and the rest of the torso and the arms onto the left. So you're giving yourself a stretch onto the sides of the body. Staying here for a breath or 2, giving yourself a nice stretch. If the connection goes off, you're going to do it on the other side and then relax yourself into Shavasana and do your 10 minutes of meditation following one of my 2 videos just to finish the class. Focusing onto that digestive system and into the channels that I've described. And then coming back into the center, first with the torso, then with the feet. Push your hips as far as they go onto the side of the mat on the left side. Bring the feet towards the right and the torso towards the right with the arms over your head, feeling that stretch onto the sides and also onto your lower back. You can place your left foot over the right to have that extra stretch. Still engage with the breath, having nice and long breaths. And then on the next inhale, you're coming back into the center. You can do one more pose here. You're bringing the soles of the feet together, grabbing hold of the feet and bringing the legs out. And then release yourself and relax into Shavasana. So you're coming down into the corpse pose, feeling your feet, bringing your feet as wide as the mat, tucking your chin under, rolling your shoulders back, palms up towards the ceiling, chin to chest. Listening to one of the two guided meditations as you're relaxing